All right, crossover time, but before we get into it, this is a great thing we got going for Thursday, guys. Experience the thrill of a Bay Area Panthers game this summer. The Panthers, they're reigning champions of the Indoor Football League. They're led by 7-time arena champion head coach Rob Keefe. Currently, they're in first place in the IFL Western Conference and aiming to defend their league title. Join them for their final home game of the regular season. That's on July 13th at SAP Center in San Jose. Get your tickets now at BayAreaPanthers.com and be part of the Bay Area Panther Nation. But here's the best part. Tune into the crossover on Thursday for the keyword. Then you text that keyword to 20357 for your chance to win. Get this prize package. 4 premium seats for a playoff game, 4 VIP field passes, 1 Bay Area Panthers jersey, and then a pair of season tickets for 2025. That's we're giving away that package Thursday on the crossover. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
get this when you say welcome Willard and Dibs.
Welcome Willard and Dibs.
Welcome Willard. Dibs was you at the at the summit yesterday. A little late.
Did I need to be here for that 45-second read?
Boy.
Well, one of the things
Steiny can't do a read.
It was scripted as a 30, but he worked his way through it.
So,
some of us are long-winded.
We were just clawing at something, and
it's incredible.
The whole idea of the golf round.
Yes, I heard you guys talking about it.
Okay. I can't stop thinking about it.
I went back to Ramona Shelburne and Kendra Andrews' piece.
Yeah.
It was in the lead. The lead was the Riviera. They wrote the first 6 paragraphs were about this golf round where it was not brought up. Why?
Why was that the lead?
Why was it not brought up?
What I'm saying is, it was so strong in the story, I believe it.
Right.
Why? Why wasn't it brought up?
I can't wait to hear from you.
Because it was over.
Okay.
It was over. And
Over's consistent goodbye, not to interrupt.
No, over was over. And so it was a golf round of I'm in LA, you're in LA, let's play golf. I love you. You loved me. Our time together is over. Let's just play golf. We don't have to worry about. And I'm going to give you a very deeply personal comparison because I got divorced in 2020.
Okay.
And during that year, we had an event at Chase Center where we all had that suite, that bunker suite.
I'll never forget. Yeah.
You were there, right?
Yeah.
So we went to that bunker suite, and I went with my now ex-wife, Chanda. 7 days earlier, we had the talk. And during that time, we had decided that we were going to no longer be married.
Okay.
And we hadn't really worked out all the details, but we had that moment where, we did a 2-hour talk and, she wanted this and I wanted that. And we hugged it out and it was over. But we had this event 7 days later. We still went to the event. And in fact, after the event, we went to the Fat Lady with Matt Steinmetz and his partner. You remember that? We went.
I don't.
Because we took the boat. We took the ferry, and then you and I and Susan and you, we went to the Fat Lady after the game for a final, and it was an event similar to that. We did not talk about our marriage. We didn't talk about our divorce. We didn't talk about anything.
But you did prior to that engagement.
Right.
Tell me where these two hooked up and had that talk that you and Chanda had.
This is Klay and Lacob at Riviera, like Chanda and I at Chase Center, where it's already over. Just go and have a nice time.
Before Willard goes, give me the conversation that you guys had at home when you decided we're going to, this is what we're doing with our future. There's no tea leaves of that ever happening between these two men. It happened. And I just feel like Klay deserved better.
It happened going back to October when they gave him 2 and 48 and he said no.
But Draymond was the same and he was hurt.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't over for he and Draymond. There was something they could salvage. So I look at Joe Lacob and Klay at Riviera. And that to me feels like Chanda and me at the Chase Center bunker in the bunker suite where it's already over. Let's just go and have a nice time.
Maybe, but we did. But we're all guessing.
We are.
Yeah.
My question is, did Joe know he was supposed to bring it up?
He's Joey Light years.
He's not the GM.
Did he know
I go
this?
back to the Bob Myers farewell thing where Joe was like, I just got wind of this, paraphrasing, and I'm like, there's no way. But maybe.
I know.
How could that happen, Willard?
Because these two sides have both felt like the other one maybe wanted to move on. And so, Joe, we do this, right? We do this a lot. Oh, we have the conversation in our head before it happens, and we're on our way to see someone. And then how often does it go that way? Because we don't know what conversation that person's having in their head.
A million.
I don't know if Joe knew, what was Joe? This article to me very much reads like they spoke to Klay. That's what I'm getting at. Ramona spoke to Klay.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So this bothered Klay. Did you speak to Joe?
Have, yeah, right.
But should it have? I don't know. Was there a note that went out to everyone that was like, when you get to Riviera, we're going to talk about the contract?
It has to be assumed.
Does it?
I drafted you. We've climbed the mountaintops.
He's the owner.
I don't need a contract, but tell me it's over like a great movie. But for Klay not to get that and just sit, I would have been at the light, like I said yesterday. Hey, Joe, you need me to come back, or did we forget to talk about something?
I get where you're coming from, but if we look at this entire experience, what's clear to me is that these two were not on the same page. And therefore, they don't know where the other one is. At times, both of them thought the other one wanted to move on. Wow. Like, Klay is like, you don't want me? The Warriors like, we offered you more money than you. We offered at the beginning, like a year ago, we offered you the same amount of money for one less year than what you just got. And now you're going to claim we don't want you? So if both sides, right? Like, that's what this feels like to me. Both sides are projecting what the other one's thinking at a certain moment and what they want, and right? Who's being sentimental, who's not. So, like,
the 2 for 48, Lacob could have been like, oh, he could have took that as a slight.
Of course. Or he could have taken that, like, dude, we gave you the absolute best offer you're going to get, and you said no. So let's play golf.
Man.
And again, I'm guessing. I don't know, but the article reads to me like they spoke to Klay, and Klay made that the lead story. Joe might have just been looking for birdies and a beer.
Well, here's the thing,
clue
Klay,
that that's what we're supposed to do.
Go ahead and bring it up on 12 when you're strolling with Joe and you're both in the same spot.
Another fair point. Fair point.
Seriously, how passive-aggressive are you to where if that's really the issue, we played 18 holes and he never brought it up. Here's an idea. Bring it up.
Well, drove to his house. Steiny made the point. Draymond drove to his house. Bring it up. And I respect him for that.
But we don't know that, even though in theory Klay told Ramona, we played golf in May and he didn't even bring it up. Like, it could have just been left there. And that's an indication of how far apart they actually were.
I'm so glad you brought up marriage, Dibs. Cause y'all see the movie The Breakup?
Oh, man, one of my favorites.
Vince Vaughn and what's her name?
One of my favorites.
Jennifer Aniston. She walks out topless. She wins the breakup.
Okay, so that's fine. But the scene I'm thinking of is that argument about the dishes, where he's like, why don't you just say you want me to do the dishes? She's like, I don't want you to do the dishes. I want you to want to do the dishes. So she's sitting there steaming because she's waiting for him to read her mind.
Wow.
This is a very relatable thing. There's not a relationship in the world that hasn't been through this. Why are you asking me to read your mind? So, Dibs, good point. If you want to talk about the contract, talk about the contract.
I keep bringing it up. Dre drove to his house to say, I want to be here. Steiny kept, more respect to Dre for that.
Is 5 hours.
Oh, my goodness.
It was this weekend. Shout out the group in front of us.
Might have been 4 at Rib.
Yeah, good point. We were 4:55 this weekend. The dudes in front of us were killing us.
But I do think that, to me, what I find interesting is maybe it's an indication of the disconnect they did have. Maybe Klay did go there thinking, I bet you Joe's going to...
I would.
We're going to get closure on this, and it was the farthest thing from Joe's mind. Somebody on the text line, I do want to... somebody saying a 510 on the Xfinity mobile text line, it was already over. There's no right or wrong here. I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't know.
But
what if Joe is sitting here feeling the exact same way Klay did? My God. I thought he wanted to talk to me about the contract. He never brought it up.
You guys could be, I just hate that. I'm mad at both of them. Like, regardless, you guys deserve to have that. Dibs, I keep going to your analogy or your truth. You guys had the talk. It just, to me, and it bothers me, they didn't have the talk. Draymond drove to his house, and they had to talk.
Exactly.
And it worked for him. I respect that.
And the one thing that I do want to defend my partner on, because yesterday at the summit at Fremont Bank, he took on a lot of water from the morning roast about the idea of timing.
That's new.
And I do think that...
Keep talking.
We're going to let that sit there for just a moment, because you're right. But the idea of timing, I think, in this is everything, because Draymond got what he got based on timing, and Wiggins and Jordan Poole got what they got based on timing. And so Klay is coming off a 10 seed. They were a 10 seed, and whatever, 46 wins, whatever you had, that's cute and all that, but you were a 10 seed and you got motorboated in Sacramento. You were nowhere, my friends. And so because of that, the timing of it felt like you needed a reboot. And so because of that, and Klay is like, okay, now's my time. And Lacob and company's like, whoa, we need a reboot. We need to do more than just give you 2 and 48. So now you're going to have to wait. Wow. So I do think the timing, which is what Mark said yesterday, and he got absolutely rat-a-tat-tatted by 6-10.
There were sliders. I didn't care.
Yeah.
As long as they're sliders, I'm fine.
Yeah. And I think you dipped out before we got into the Kentucky bourbon portion of the show.
Oh, well, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
No, I
did.
julep.
I had to,
I had to make a move. But,
Shout out Jodeci. Ain't no party like the after party.
Like that actually, this
I'll
is
take
enough.
a 3.
And again, I don't want to act like I've spoken to Klay, but that's another piece of this entire story that if I'm looking at it, I'm going, you're not allowed this one. If Klay, and by the way, Draymond, if you're all mad because Poole and Wiggins got signed,
that cut me.
That was literally like streamers were still coming off buildings. Of course they got signed. That's what happens in America when you win a championship. Man. You show up with a pen and you start going, who wants this? Who wants that? God, we love you. Look at what the Niners didn't even win. The Niners didn't even win, and look what's happening. Yeah. Every player's like, I'm sorry, excuse me. The line out the door, Parag. Well, I'd like mine
not
now.
Every player,
except for one. Yeah. Anyway, so but he's asking.
Yeah.
So that happens. That happens then. Then the next year, it's like, okay, you didn't win, but it felt circumstantial and like, okay, we're still in the mix.
But we offered you 2 for 48.
And then we offered you 2 for 48. You got offended. Man. And then you played in 77 games, and we didn't even make the playoffs with the most expensive payroll in the NBA. You can rip Joe for that if you want. I won't be one of those people. Sorry. How can we do this with Ayuk? We all accept it when Ayuk goes, I'm sorry, I asked for 26, and then Justin Jefferson got 35. Goalpost move. Why can't the Warriors do that? We offered you 2 and 48, then we missed the playoffs. Goalpost move. Sorry.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ, FM, and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. The one thing, and listen, we know it happened. We don't know why. All I can do is I tend to put myself in the employee category as opposed to an owner. And why didn't Klay? I got to tell you, if the owner invited me to play golf, even if I had an expectation he was going to broach the subject, I just know I probably, on 12, I would have been like, I guess he's not going to bring it up. Right. And I know me, I would have been like, well, I guess he's just not going to bring it up. I'm not the kind of guy that'd be like, hey, Joe. I would have played the round of golf and said, good, it's over.
No, 12 is where it happens. Yeah. If you get to 12 and he hasn't mentioned it and I haven't mentioned it, as we walk from 12 green to 13 tee, hey, Joe, nice putt there. Nice little 2-putt for par. Hey, just while we're here, Joe, what are you thinking? Man. Because you offered me 2 and 48 back in October, and now I'm getting crickets. Am I going to get an offer, Joe?
But can you, and I'm not saying you're saying I'm wrong, but could you understand why a player might just keep his mouth shut?
Especially a player of that ilk, of that level, who's starting to get into that pride feel.
Right. I think 12 at Riv is a par 3, so it goes quickly. So I don't know if that's like if you have a long conversation. It's about 165. Anyway.
Plays a little longer.
Always
does. Everything does there.
No, I would imagine everybody in this room on some level approaches their life this way. If there's a conversation you want to have, don't drive away if you don't have it. That's up to you. Have it.
And maybe he didn't want to have it.
Maybe he didn't want to have it. Or
and
maybe
neither did Joe.
Like, again, no clue. But like on some level, if you're an adult and there's something that you want out in the air.
Well, try to teach my kids.
Put it in the air.
Exactly. No doubt about it.
Put it in the air.
No doubt.
I can't
Draymond Green did it, and look what happened.
I mean, I could get real, we could get real in the weeds here. I think burying stuff is literally the bane of our human existence. Therapists have no room right now. They have no open spots on their calendar because people bury stuff. Down here. You're sticking it in your gut. Get it out.
Yeah. No, that's
bad. Get it out.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean,
to talk to a reporter a month later.
No doubt.
When
stuff festers, it just gets worse than what the subject matter was at the beginning because it's just let it out.
That's the way. That's a healthy way to do it, but we're not all healthy all the time. To me, I'm making no judgment on, well, this guy should have, and he should. What my big takeaway is, it was over. They were done. Like they either both expected it, that the other didn't want him, or neither wanted to. You know what I mean?
Here's the other thing, and I haven't listened to the whole thing. But if you're Klay Thompson, this is to me now, and I love the guy, but you can't point your finger at all the things the Warriors didn't do, and then arrive in Dallas and have a press conference and say, it was time for a change of scenery. If it was time for a change of scenery, then what's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
What do you mean? I don't follow. Hold on.
If Klay Thompson wanted a change of scenery, why would you be upset that Joe Lacob didn't speak to you about it?
But here's the thing, Mark. I'm not assuming Klay was upset about them not talking. He may have just said to Shelburne, oh, yeah, I mean, then I went golfing with him. It didn't even come up.
Maybe, but I don't know if she's making it the lead if he didn't put any emotion behind it.
Probably not.
But
when I read that, I was like,
in and of itself, it's a little weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only imagine these two guys cruising around together, 40 years apart in age, with all that angst. Like, I got to imagine everybody shot 112.
Yeah, but Lacob
that's a lot of...
Lacob told Kawakami he looked at Draymond like a brother when he was talking about how that contract got done. And I said before, Dibs, Klay's a brother too, so they'll get to that juncture.
Well,
they didn't.
But you know what?
One brother had volume. Shout out Draymond, and Klay just was.
And I think that Draymond and Joe are more cut from the same cloth than Klay and Joe. Klay's a little bit more laid back, I think.
Chill.
And, Draymond is a stone cold killer like Joe Lacob is.
I'd say Draymond also has done a lot through the years in the organization, it appears to me, to build those relationships. Steve Kerr said 2 days ago that when they get to the offseason, Klay's gone. You can't even find him. He's got like a Garoppolo thing in him.
Wow.
So, is he a brother? Or is that only when training camp opens? Or, you know what I mean? We affix that. Oh, they're the Splash Brothers. I don't know how close they actually are off the court.
I mean, Joe, the other thing is, I just think it's very interesting. I mean, Joe Lacob may get asked about it, and he might say, I have 3 rules in business. Number 1 is never talk business on the golf course. Well, that's the end of the story then.
Yeah, maybe.
Did Klay know that or not? Well, maybe who knows?
Yeah.
And the other thing that Mark is alluding to is the fact that when Klay got hurt with the ACL, he did his own rehab away from the team, and then he got hurt again. And I know that there was maybe not resentment, but I think from an organizational standpoint, there was a sense of dude, we asked you to come do it our way, and you did it your way, and you got hurt again. So
we still get you 2 for 48.
Well, yeah, that they offered 2 for 48, which they thought was a bargain at the time, and turned out, he ended up signing for 3 and 50.
That was 4 years later, though. If you go back to that night, the night they drafted James Wiseman.
Wow.
I mean, imagine the emotions.
And he got hurt 2 hours before the draft, right?
Right. Imagine what's going on with the Warriors when that happens. And I do think that was step 1. That was the very first brick on what became a pretty big wall.
Yeah.
And I bet that everybody didn't react in a perfect way.
Oh my goodness.
I was talking to my daughter just this morning about, how we talk to each other in stressful moments and when you're vulnerable to react in like not your best way. I wonder how that sounded as the Warriors' war room is getting ready and they find out that for the second year in a row, one of their max players is not available to them.
Oh, Schmidt.
Yeah.
Now
I imagine they weren't
fridge,
like,
but playing run wherever down in the that matters,
You know, so like that's sort of my overall takeaway of the Klay thing in the end was like this, and I thought he captured this today. This is one of those things where, God, you just ended up with a whole lot of stress and angst on both sides, and it probably just got too complex to keep the relationship going. So circle back to Dibs and Chanda. Yeah. You have a talk and you hug and
I'll
you go
say this to you.
ways.
No, beautiful. I'll end it with this. Steiny, I told Steiny and everybody this earlier, Willard. Nobody's job got easier, and he won't say this because he loves Klay, than Steve Kerr. It was, you could tell Klay was sucking the air out of the room because he was sulking. They knew it, and I believe coaching decisions and rotations and substitutions, that right on the table that Kerr had, even if he tried, he just feels free right now. Yeah, I'll get it. He feels free. Shout out Kerr.
Yeah.
I thought something was dropping again.
You're probably, exactly. No, I got you back. No, you're probably right.
There's no doubt.
You're probably right.
He can never admit that,
I mean,
man.
How many times is Steve Kerr going to come on our show and feel like he's got to apologize to the whole fan base because Moses Moody didn't get his 21st minute last night when Klay is probably stink-eyeing him. You know, I mean, like, I tried to say this 100 times last year. I thought that was awful for Steve Kerr. Every night you got to predict which one of your 6 mediocre plus players are going to have a good night.
Why Moody playing? Well, maybe you ain't saying what's really going on.
He would know who to play if he could do what we did, which was wait till the end of the game and find out whose shot was going in and then go back and do it.
Let me finish up on this because I heard the Michael Thompson interview yesterday.
Oh, you guys tried your damn.
But I want to try to put it in the context.
Knock over there.
I want to try to put it in the context of everything we're talking about. On the one hand, the interview was over, and I thought, great job by Michael. He didn't say a word.
He's probably.
On the other hand, I do think, in a way, this is a bigger deal to us as it is to them. Like, guys move on in the NBA, and it happens in different ways. Sometimes it happens with a handshake. Sometimes it happens with a frown. In 2 or 3 years, I guarantee you this will all be water under the bridge, however it ends up. And there is something about this. These guys can accept it in a way that we can't almost.
You're not wrong, but I can report to you.
Here we go.
Unequivocally, that there is emotion from the Thompson family.
Wow. There should be.
That I can report.
I hope I believe that. There should be.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. We're leaving.
Michael did a wonderful job yesterday.
I don't ever want to live in a world where I say goodbye and not know it. I don't want to live that. I want my goodbye, even if it's bad. And to what I want to know and acknowledge, like a great movie. And I want that goodbye. I don't want the subliminal. You didn't have that. You and Shonda, thank you for sharing that. You guys had the talk. I don't think these guys had the talk.
I like to leave without saying goodbye sometimes because I hate goodbyes.
The Irish goodbye. Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
And I was telling the story yesterday.
Every day, 12.
After the summit.
I know you were trying to do it right there, too.
I'm right.
Not at all.
He did it to me.
Is my bag on my shoulder?
He did it to me in Salt Lake City about 10 years ago. And I told that story off the air yesterday in the after show at Fremont Bank after the summit because somebody was asking me tell me about the 6 hosts. Who gets after it? And I was going one by one.
That was 7 years ago. That's why.
Closer to 10.
Okay,
and I told him how you Irish goodbyed me and you wound up at a party. And I called Steiny. Steiny, where are you? I thought we were going together. And, hey, Dibs.
I hope you accurately put me in 5th place.
You are in, 5th.
Okay.
Ponte's 6th.
Oh, no, Joe is 6th.
Well, the new Joe. The old Joe, because
Corporate
Joe grandfathered
I didn't
in.
know we were I didn't know we were able to move time like that. Okay,
I mean, and so I put Steiny at 1 and me at 2.
I want to end it this way.
I think I had Guru at 3, and then the 3 you squares are 4, 5, and 6.
I do want to end it this way because make sure the listeners understand something
ahead.
about the whole joke about bag on the shoulder. There is a logistical thing we deal with that no other show deals with, and that is you guys are actually taking over in 1 minute.
Correct.
Right. The morning show has a 7-minute break. Therefore, Bonte can finish a show, gather his things,
we chop it up,
walk out, and I can move in, set up my stuff. In this case scenario, we only have 1 minute. I'm trying to do you the utmost courtesy of giving you the entire minute of a free
when
space.
Did he say, I'm going to say this to the world?
I never realized that this was like a giving maneuver by Steiny.
Goodness.
I mean,
he's thinking of you.
It's all different
Shel
now.
Silverstein, the giving tree.
thank you. And that's a 4 because I know the reference and we have it at home. But if I can be fair with the listeners, you have almost nothing. You have a bag with a piece of graph paper and a jacket. It's not like you have a laptop and 7 other things. You could easily pack up at 1:43, could you not?
Plus, you leave your dishes.
Well, but
like,
I
what if you're
time.
actually going
Shots
to pick
fired.
those
Well,
up?
I need to have the read in front of me. That's the one thing. Those aren't all mine. Those aren't all mine.
Those are all yours.
Those are, you don't know what's Bonte's and what's not.
You know
I
how
don't want
I
to
know
do this.
that?
I'm in a good mood, Goo.
I don't believe they're yours.
Those are all your cups, and they're your cups.
And they're your cups.
He's trying to stay today.
All right.
He's not.
guys,
95.7 the game. Just take your dishes.
Have fun today on 95.7 again.
What do those cups say on them? Oh, 95 cents a
95
game. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
And that's